Hi, everybody. Welcome to Step 4 of Course Central. You made it. We are so glad that you all are here for this final class in this series. I hope you've enjoyed it and that it has helped you better know Christ and make Him known. We hope that you've gotten connected at Central, maybe to a life group, to a Serve Central team, a Bible study, or wherever else you can grow as a follower of Christ. The second part of our mission statement is make Christ known. You see, we don't exist for the people that are here. We exist for the people who are not here yet. Evangelism is about telling them the difference Jesus has made in you. Some questions that you might ask yourself are things like this. What was life like before Jesus? When did you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior? And how did Jesus change your life? Let's listen to this story from Luis Victoria, who attends right here at Central Community. Again, I want to say thank you for your commitment over these last 4 weeks. I am so excited to have you here at Central. Welcome to the family.
So I'm Luis. I was born in Mexico, in the state of Michoacan, and am the oldest of 3. So I was brought over to the U.S. when I was about 6 months old. It was my dad actually sent me over with my cousin's family on a plane while he took a little detour with my mom through the desert to meet us over on American soil. And from then it's been a crazy run. It was a rough childhood. I was raised in a loving family, so that was great, but we were poor. Props to my dad. I didn't know I was poor until way after. Looking back at life, I realized really how much we struggled and how much he had to do to be able to provide for us. But I was raised in Southern California, in Santa Ana in Orange County. That's just south of LA. And because of where we were financially, it was a very gang-infested neighborhood that we grew up in. So I was introduced to gangs when I was about 5 years old. It was a very young age. It all started off innocently enough. It was just one of the older members reaching out to me saying, hey, you live in the neighborhood, you're taking care of, the gang's here to provide you with safety. That's how it all kind of came about. And from then on, it was just my role in all of it just grew. Through elementary up to middle school, I was actually, for lack of a better term, I was like a recruiter for the gang. I would go out and seek out kids that I thought would bring some kind of benefit to the gang, whether it was they had rich parents or they could, defend themselves. Anything that would help, I would bring them around and try to bring them into the gang. And it was rough. So in growing up, I grew up in a loving family. Like I said, it was, my parents are together, still happily married, but I never really grew up knowing God. It was, I think I can actually remember going to Catholic Mass twice in my life growing up. And so I always believed there was a God, I just didn't know anything about God. It made it a big difference looking back at it now to how everything could have been. The first real big thing that I remember that was because of the gang was when I was about 8 years old. We were all outside. I lived in an apartment complex. We were out front roller skating, and there was a drive-by, and my friend from school was killed in a drive-by. So that, along with the older members, kind of made me fall in deeper into all of it, seeking revenge instead of just walking away from it all, doing all the stuff they were asking me to do. So it started off at a really young age. That, and then we lived there. There was no way out of it. That all I knew was that gang life. All I knew was I had to do what I was told by the older gang members. I didn't know there was a life outside of it. I didn't know there was, Christianity. I didn't know there was a place where people weren't out shooting each other all the time. That's just what I knew. Through all of that, I remember my dad working his butt off, trying to provide for us, and I didn't know. I didn't grow up watching Fox News or anything. I didn't know I was an illegal immigrant. I didn't know any of that. Obviously, my dad did, so he worked enough to be able to pay all the fees and all the lawyers and all that stuff to become a U.S. citizen. So he did that, and he then sponsored me and my mom so that we could also become citizens. So one of the best days in my life is actually one of the worst days in the history of our country. I swore in as a U.S. citizen on September 11th, 2001. I remember getting ready for the swearing and just watching it all unfold over the news on TV and the whole drive there. It was a horrible day for it to happen, but it was, like I said, it's one of the best things that did happen in my life. And I remember the whole ride home, my dad telling me how important it was and how being a citizen now made my life so much easier and all the opportunities that came with it. But I didn't know what he was talking about, so it literally just went over my head. I was still very much active in what I was doing through high school. I mean, in high school, I got to the point where I was the leader of my own set. Like, I was the main guy in one of the smaller crews to a larger gang. So at that point, I was recruiting, I was having people do stuff. It was just a disaster. I mean, it was like the worst thing that could have happened at that point. And somehow I managed to keep it all away from my parents. They never seemed to know about it. I would come home, busted lips, bloody noses, black eyes, and from getting beat up by other gang members. And I just always had a story for it. Took a ball to the face, fell, or it wasn't a crazy story to just say I just got into a fight. I had been getting suspended from school for fights from elementary. I mean, I barely graduated high school with like a 2.4 GPA. I was just constantly in trouble, constantly doing all that stuff. After high school though, not seeing all the same people every day, I kind of took a step away from it all and got more involved in cars. So I started going more towards the car shows, working on my own car. So that kind of pulled me away. I had to make priorities, and my cars and making car shows were a bigger priority than going out and doing the things I was doing before. So that helped pull me away a little bit more. I went to community college. I was trying to better myself. I mean, I was constantly getting talked to by my dad about, the opportunities that I had that he never had, that I needed to take advantage of. So he kind of made me go to college. So I was doing that. And so stepping away as much as I did, I was still active. I was still doing what I was doing, but I wasn't as involved. Like I stepped down from the rank I had. I just tried to distance myself as much as I could, but I was still hanging out with my friends that I had made. So one night we were at our park, at the picnic benches, drinking, having a good old time, and a rival gang pulled up and shot at us and shot 3 of my friends and killed one of them. And the one that they killed, him, And at that point, it was all a God thing, because I no longer wanted to seek out revenge. I no longer wanted to be involved in it. I just wanted to get away from it all. So that's what I did. That was the last day I ever took part in anything. That was the last day I ever did anything associated with it. And I wish I could say it was like, oh, that was the day that, you know, God spoke to me and did all this, but I didn't have that aha moment that a lot of people do. It was just a collection of things that led up to just walking away from it all. And I did. I completely stepped away from it. I met my wife shortly after that, and that's when everything started making sense. I started dating her, and she did this weird thing where every Sunday we had to go to church instead of being able to go to car shows. Funny now looking back at it, the first Christian church I ever stepped foot in was Rick Warren's church in Lake Forest, California, Saddleback Church. Had no idea what that meant at the time, but seeing him preach and seeing the worship team and everything going on was just intriguing to me. It was amazing. I had never seen anything like it. I had gone to church 2 other times, and all you did was stand up and listen to Latin and kneel and get back up, and it was a whole different thing. It was a relationship that you were building. So on March 20th, 2015 is when I finally gave my life to God, and I was baptized here at Central Community by Pastor Bob. One of the best days of my life, and with it came a bunch of nonsense. So I mean, it was just constantly being questioned about why I would do such a thing and what am I doing. People at work questioning my faith, you know, bringing up, do you know that the Bible's been rewritten this many times? And do you know that the apostles didn't even write those books? They were written by somebody else. So anyways, all that was brought up, and it just gave me more fuel to just dig deep. I was in the Bible, I was reading books, I was listening to podcasts, watching debates. I was doing everything to just try to feed myself and be not just able to defend my faith, but just to know more. And it honestly grew my faith so much more to do that. Being here, we actually started going to the gathering, the Sunday school class here at church on Sunday mornings, and then shortly after we joined the life group as well. So now we're doing life with some of our best friends. I've surrounded myself with people that have the same ideals as me, the same beliefs, the same faith, and it's helped me grow so much more. So looking back at everything that's happened in my life, I can see God in every part of it. I was never in trouble with the police. I've never been arrested. I was harassed all the time. I was wearing the uniform to my job. I mean, I was a bald Mexican with baggy white t-shirts, baggy pants, the Nike Cortezes, Chuck Taylors, what have you. I mean, I was constantly being harassed, but I never got to the point where it ruined my opportunities in life. So he's always been watching over me. And I mean, just my story is important to me to be able to share, because if God can forgive my past, then I know that He is there guiding my future. And that's something I look forward to be able to raise up my family in Christ and be able to share, to let people know that you don't have to be perfect to come to know God. You just have to give yourself to Him, and He'll take care of the rest.